Coming up on Now See This.
This was a very unusual circumstance.
A wild man takes his party on the road,
He's holding a bottle of scotch.
but police crash the celebration. An officer lends a helping hand and learns the true meaning of crunch time. And a cop going to head off a suspect
Look out, roll.
catches the suspect head on. Crashes, flashes, and road rashes. Think you've seen it all? Now see this. After working an uneventful graveyard shift, a Utah State Trooper calls in a startling report. A crazed drunk driver is flying 100 miles an hour the wrong way up the freeway. Back up the road, Trooper Stephen Bytheway responds by facing oncoming traffic and swerving back and forth to warn motorists about the danger coming their way.
I was motioning out the window for people to pull over to their right side of the road.
Thanks to his forewarning, Officer Bytheway diverts this pack of unsuspecting motorists just in time.
He's done at least 100.
Bytheway lets the lead unit pass by, then he guns his cruiser's engine and joins the chase.
We're taught that vehicle pursuits should not be engaged in if a vehicle is traveling the wrong way on the freeway. But this was a very unusual circumstance. He'd already endangered countless other vehicles.
The troopers put their pedals to the metal, but the elusive suspect remains far ahead of them. It's a grim situation, but the officers have two things in their favor. It's only 4:30 in the morning, and the traffic is relatively light. They catch a bigger break when the chase enters a part of the highway that's under construction and closed down to traffic. But this open stretch of freeway won't last for long.
I knew that approximately a mile further north, that portion of the freeway opened up again into public used traffic lanes. And I knew that we had to get him stopped before then, or we were going to have a catastrophe.
Bytheway fears the drunken suspect could be drawn into oncoming vehicles' headlights like a moth to a flame. And with the man driving at over 100 miles an hour and oncoming traffic going about 70, a head-on collision would be virtually unsurvivable. The officers know that they have to knock this maniac off the road right away, and by any means necessary.
If one of us got in an accident, then that's the way it was going to be.
As the lead unit swerves around a construction barrier, the officers make their move. A camera on the rear patrol car captures everything. The lead unit clips the suspect and sends him into a skid. Bytheway cuts in front and hits the brakes, causing the drunk driver to slam on his own brakes and swerve out of control, right into Bytheway. The suspect plows into the concrete divider, while Bytheway nearly smashes into a construction truck parked on the roadside. Incredibly, the officer is unscathed and turns his patrol car to face the suspect's crashed vehicle. Bytheway and his fellow troopers pull the driver out of the wreckage. The man is unconscious, though he's not seriously injured. But the one thing this man definitely is drunk.
The subject was extremely intoxicated, and his blood results indicated that he was way above the legal limit.
The harrowing pursuit and crash is one the trooper will never forget. But there's one more thing that made this chase unforgettable. Several days after the pursuit, Bytheway received a surprise in the mail. A letter of apology, written by the now sober perpetrator.
He indicated that that was extremely out of character for him, and he was very, very apologetic and very remorseful over the events of that morning.
But it certainly made Trooper Stephen By the Way view the perpetrator in a whole new light.
This was very unusual, and I thought a little more highly of the person after receiving that letter.
It's the return of the Wild West as law enforcement pursues a rowdy drug suspect down the freeways of Los Angeles.
The suspect is wanted for assault with a deadly weapon.
To keep other motorists out of harm's way, officers block traffic from coming up behind the chase. It's a rolling safety zone. Meanwhile, every mile they travel, the driver hints at just how mentally unstable he might be.
He's opening the door. He's opening the door right now. Unbelievable.
High on drugs, it's easy for him to act casual as he drives with the door wide open. But officers fear the suspect is driving under another influence as well.
The suspect inside that vehicle was thought to be holding a bottle of alcohol of some sort.
Moments later, that suspicion is confirmed.
He's holding a bottle of scotch.
The more drunk this brazen cowboy gets, the more dangerous his driving becomes.
Suspect slows down and then takes off, crossing all lanes. Now he's doing S-turns. He's turning across the lanes of the freeway. We don't know what that was all about.
And things only get stranger.
Now he's holding something out of the window. He's got his hands raised out the window. Door open again. He's got the door open on the car again. So a very dangerous situation here now for officers.
Things get even more perilous when the suspect merges onto a busy freeway that officers haven't been able to shut down yet. The teeming motorists cause the impaired suspect to panic and drive even more erratically. Of course, the marijuana the man is now smoking is likely contributing to his bad conduct.
Now he's hanging out of the window of the car. He's not even driving. He's not even steering.
The man's desperation added to the cocktail of drugs and alcohol in his system is making him behave beyond reason. But what he does next flies in the face of all good judgment and takes this crisis to a chilling new level.
Oh. Well, the suspect really displaying lots. Look at that. We don't know what's happening here.
Assistant Chief Art Acevedo was part of the pursuit. He couldn't believe how close the man came to getting himself hurt, or worse.
The officers may have perceived that as a suspect going for a weapon, and they may have had a potential of a shooting at that point. Luckily for us, it was daylight, and we can clearly see that he was not armed.
I've never seen a suspect do that before, and I can tell you he's lucky to be alive.
The suspect continues his outlaw ways like it's business as usual. But for the officers pursuing him, it's time to end this rampage. As soon as the chase enters a clear stretch of highway, they make their move.
What are they going to do here? They're going to stop it right here. They're going to stop it. They spin the suspect out. They stop it right there. And let's see what happens. The suspect is just sitting in his car. He gets out, guns drawn, and he starts running. He's throwing things now, and he's running. He keeps running. Suspect officers there. They're trying to chase him down, and he keeps running. Let's get around this tree. Let's see where he goes from here. And they tackle him.
It was a perfectly executed strike that sent the vehicle spinning to a halt. But even looking down the barrel of a gun didn't stop the drugged-out suspect. And he had to be taken down the hard way.
Yeah, it looks like Cahuenga, Lankershim off-ramps there. And now the suspect is in the custody of the California Highway Patrol.
Looking back on the suspect's rash behavior, Assistant Chief Acevedo is glad his fellow patrolman was sharp-eyed enough not to react with lethal force.
There's a phenomenon called suicide by cop, where a person that's suicidal will jump out of a car at the end of a pursuit, come out with a gun and either fire at officers or point a gun at officers in the hopes that the officers will shoot them and kill them.
Thankfully, police refused to be pulled into his deadly game. They were determined to take this suspect in, alive. Montebello, California. Police are in pursuit of a stolen vehicle. The suspects inside were planning to sell the car's parts on the black market. But the way the driver's going, he'll be lucky to make it to the junkyard.
This suspect has rammed 2 CHP officers. You can see there's some front end damage there.
Once a stolen car is used as a weapon, recovering it in good condition becomes the last priority on officers' minds.
They have been given authorization to take this thing out.
But the driver still believes he can get clear and deliver the sedan to the chop shop.
And the suspect is rushing toward those cars. He's got a fleet of CHP officers right between those cars.
The suspect is endangering lives to make a fast buck and get away clean. And while this makes the officers' blood boil, they have to wait for the right moment to make their move.
They want to stop this guy. You can see that CHP officer drove right up next to the car there.
As the chase continues deeper into rush hour, the traffic gets even worse.
You can see Beverly Drive is crowded with cars up ahead here as the suspect goes right around him. He's got a red light. He goes right through it.
Even when other units get ahead of the pursuit, the driver finds a way around them, although he's punishing the merchandise to do it.
Okay, Montebello units have the traffic stopped up ahead. There is a red light, and the suspect looks like he's going to go hard on the brakes all the way into that gas station.
As the suspect rumbles onto a wide-open street, he tries to surge ahead. But if his stolen ride has a few dents and scratches now, things are about to get a lot worse.
Let's see, here he goes for the pit maneuver right now. He tries it again, he spins the car out. No, there's another car stopped right there. The CHP trying to bring it to an end, still going. Suspect's still going. They're going to try it again. One more time. Let's see what happens.
The patrol car sends the suspect spinning into a stopped car. But instead of boxing him in, the same patrol car unwittingly nudges the suspect towards an escape route. But the limping vehicle doesn't get very far, and another unit plows it right off the road.
Throw the keys out is what they'll tell him to do. Throw the keys out, and he's not doing it. This is a very dangerous situation right now. That suspect better put his hands up in the air. They've got guns drawn, they've got guns. They brought a shotgun up right now. They may break the window out if he does not comply.
Within moments, a young man steps out and surrenders. But there's one more where he came from.
Let's see, it looks like there's somebody else in the car. There is somebody else in the car.
At last, the driver climbs out and gives up too. Now he and his buddy are exchanging their ride to Easy Street for a ride to jail.
Code 4, suspects in custody.
Detroit is America's car-making capital. But when criminals run through the streets of Motor City, the nickname takes on a whole new meaning. A suspect on a stolen motorcycle takes police on a wild spin around the city. But when he tries to cut in front of his pursuers, the rider takes a different kind of spin. Across the asphalt. The physics are simple. A 300-pound bike is no match for a 2,000-pound patrol car. Amazingly, the rider suffers only minor injuries. But while the lightweight motorcycle was the hands-down loser of this bout, a heavyweight vehicle can deliver a knockout blow. The driver of this stolen van took the vehicle at gunpoint over a week ago. Now officers have finally tracked him down, but the suspect is bound and determined to keep his new wheels. No matter how many patrol cars block his path, or how many officers stay on his tail, but the man's desperation turns out to be his undoing. Desperate to escape from police, the driver of the stolen van makes a reckless turn into a busy Detroit intersection, and the results are catastrophic. The driver jumps out and tries to flee on foot, but the officers refuse to let him get away. The chase ends with an officer injured, and one of the motorists being driven away in an ambulance. The carjacker turns out to be a 16-year-old kid, too young to drive legally, but certainly old enough to know better, and remember the damage he caused for the rest of his life. In Columbus, Ohio, extremely icy streets have traffic at a crawl. But even at this turtle's pace, some drivers are having trouble maintaining control. This motorist slid into the guardrail and flags down Trooper Kevin Collins for help. The officer is more than happy to assist, especially since the sooner he gets the stranded car off the road, the safer everyone else will be. Unfortunately, he's not quick enough. As the two men are examining the car, a passing motorist loses it on the slick blacktop. The officer swivels around to check on the other driver, but before he can even complete the turn, yet another vehicle loses control, and this time, it's a big one. An enormous 18-wheeler slips on the ice and slams into the car. Without thinking of his own safety, Trooper Collins yanks the driver from between the car and the guardrail. A split second later, and he would have been crushed. For his selflessness and quick thinking, Collins is given the Superintendent Citation Award of Merit for Bravery. After all, tonight he faced a triple threat and came out a first-class hero. High-speed pursuits all share danger and unpredictability.
He's going about 85 right now.
What makes them different is how they end. In Los Angeles, California, police have dealt with so many chases, they have their system down.
Looks like there's some severe damage to the right front side of this small four-door compact.
This stolen sedan was used in a shooting just a few hours ago, and police have wisely decided to let air units track the suspect. Unfortunately, the alleged gang member seems to know he's being spied on from above.
Look at him, he's leaning over the wheel now.
Taking a trick out of the movies, the suspect tries to lose his aerial pursuers as well.
We're going to go under the runways at the Van Nuys Airport.
Unfortunately for him, in real life, the news and cop choppers just got clearance from the tower and followed him right over the airfield. With his big escape plan foiled, the gangbanger tries plan B, driving really badly.
Look at that. No, he spins out a little bit. Oh, and he goes right between the UPS truck and that other car. He hit both of them. You can see now there's some new damage on the fender on the left side. This guy is out of control.
Other cars aren't his only target.
Oh, and he goes right through a red light. Somebody running through the intersection. That lady just got out of the way.
Police can only stay within striking distance and wait for the inevitable.
And he's got traffic, and he hits that car. He couldn't stop in time, and now he's crawling out of the window.
With his stolen sedan in ruins, the suspect bolts on foot with a swarm of cruisers on his tail.
And you can see the suspect still running into the Jack in the Box parking lot. That's an empty lot that he's going to hop over the wall.
He makes it over the wall, but when officers threaten to shoot if he doesn't stop, he finally surrenders. And that's when the full weight of what he's done hits him.
And you can see the officers now have the suspect in custody.
Luckily, no one is hurt in this crash, but considering how many lives this guy endangered, police aren't too concerned with giving him a comfortable trip to jail. After all, he could be facing a ride in an ambulance instead of a cruiser. One of the people in this stolen car in Cincinnati won't be so lucky. Moments ago, the drug dealer in the driver's seat was trying to make a sale to his female passenger. Now they're on the run. The dealer has no loyalty to his customer. He slows down and bails, but when she tries to follow, disaster. She opens the door, but it bounces off a pole and knocks her right under the wheels. The officer is incredulous. By the time she gets to the woman, she's back on her feet, hurting but alive. At least she can walk to the ambulance when it arrives. In Cedar Hills, Texas, the driver of this SUV has fled from a traffic stop. So far, he's had nothing but open road, and he's barely been able to handle it. But when the suspect climbs the next hill, he finds a jammed intersection waiting for him. And it's a puzzle he can't solve. The driver survives the crash into the pole, but his life is still in grave danger. Officers move in to pull the suspect from the wreck and douse the flames. But it'll be a while before he's healthy enough to even stand trial. All pursuits have one thing in common. They end. And when they do, the lucky suspects go to jail. The unlucky ones go to the hospital. A pursuit ends before it begins in Cambridge, Ohio. While attempting to run from police, a drunk driver loses control of his car and flips into this ditch. Rookie State Trooper Paul Appleman and his mentor, Trooper Richard Chesser, go to check on the driver. It's much worse than they thought. He has 3 passengers. All 4 doors are jammed shut, and things are about to turn even more dire. The engine suddenly goes up in flames. With the fire growing rapidly, the troopers can't wait for help to arrive. Appleman runs for the extinguisher, while Chesser breaks out the car's back window. As the first passenger crawls out, Trooper Appleman douses the blaze. But the fire is too intense, and the extinguisher proves useless. The heat is rising. There's still 1 woman in the car, and the passengers that have escaped aren't making the troopers' jobs any easier. Everyone is very drunk, and they're not listening to the officer's instructions to stay back. But with the flames spreading by the second, the troopers have to focus their efforts on saving the woman still trapped inside. Trooper Appleman climbs into the burning vehicle to get her loose. But then, a small explosion rocks the car. A few seconds later, Trooper Appleman emerges dragging the ash-covered woman. Both are lucky to be alive. Now as the fire rages out of control, the 2 troopers' main task becomes keeping the intoxicated crew at a safe distance. It's arguably their toughest job yet. Finally, the passengers are herded safely away from the blazing car. And not a moment too soon. This extremely dangerous incident would have been a challenge for even the most seasoned officers, let alone a rookie just out of patrol school. Trooper Appleman and his coach, Trooper Chesser, received the highest honor given by the Ohio State Highway Patrol for saving these people from a fiery death. Saving them from the hangover of their lives, however, was impossible. In Carroll County, Georgia, Trooper Mike Townley races to catch up with a drunk driver wreaking rush hour havoc.
Coming up on Long Road.
He finds the suspect's bright red truck with ease, but it's not a good scene. The streets are narrow, traffic is heavy, and the suspect is reckless. It's all adding up to trouble. One officer barely gets out of the way in time.
Look out, Ron.
The suspect tears around a construction zone at full throttle. And when he hits a straightaway, he floors it.
It's like we're on about 95 to 100 coming by Dartmouth Drive.
Still charging at top speed, the suspect approaches a group of cars. He carelessly dodges around the other drivers, but a big truck up ahead keeps him blocked. Suddenly, the suspect cuts left. Trooper Townley veers to the right to head him off. The results are painful. After swerving around the semi, the trooper expects the suspect to go straight. But he abruptly cuts off the big rig and slams into Townley's car. The cruiser is totaled, but Townley is amazingly uninjured. As for the suspect, his drunken flight for freedom
Look out, Ron.
put him on a collision course with justice.